This is Syerus Eslami. He is Team GB's only Greco and freestyle wrestler. No, not that type of wrestling. The wrestling that dates right back to the heart of the ancient Olympics. First added in 1708 BC, the ancient art of wrestling has been developed and now looks a little something like this.
This is 10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will, 5% pleasure, 50% pain, and 100% reason to remember the name.
In 2018, Syerus, at only 21 years old, went to the Commonwealth Games in the Gold Coast, Australia, being the only athlete who had to pay to go, and returned to the country as a bronze medalist, and he did it in some style.
So 2 minutes now, and this could end it, and it will end it, and it's put him right on his back, and Syerus Eslami so quick, strong.
Maintain control of those legs. Here we go with the last winning move, and just drive. He's straight off the mat, flat onto his back, 4 points.
If you're going to win a bronze medal, that is the way to do it.
His story is fascinating, and his drive to achieve is unwavering. I was lucky enough that I got to sit down and speak to Syerus about his extraordinary journey and Olympic dream.
Yeah, sure.
So thanks so much for joining me anyway. First off, for anyone who doesn't know, could you give yourself a little introduction?
Okay, hi. My actual name is Syerus Eslami. Everyone calls me Sid or Syerus. I'm 23. I'm from Croydon, and I'm Team GB's only freestyle and Greco-Roman wrestler. And I got a bronze medal in the Commonwealth Games in 2018.
And also, not only are you yourself the wrestler, but your family has a great wrestling history. Your grandfather was an Olympian himself. Your dad was a British school wrestling champion. Was it your uncle competed for Great Britain as well? So you've got a long line of history for Great Britain.
Yeah, I mean, all of my family kind of wrestle. I mean, the credentials you kind of read out, there's a little bit more to it. I'm not actually sure where Team England found that information, but my dad, he wasn't only just British schools champion, he was also world schoolboy champion.
All right. Wow.
My uncle and my granddad basically both were like multiple national champions for Great Britain, and my granddad was an Olympian or Olympic champion for Iran before moving to Great Britain. And then my uncle, he went to the qualification for Mexico but didn't qualify, but he was quite high up too. But yeah, everybody in my family wrestles, so I'm quite lucky to have it in my bloodline.
I was going to say, was it hard for you not to be a fan of the sport, considering how big it is within your family?
Well, everyone gets kind of confused by it. Basically, my parents and my grandparents never told me that they actually wrestled because they didn't want me to be a mold of them. Right. So, when I was a kid, I actually played football. I played football, I played rugby, I played basketball. I think football was more my kind of passion when I was a young kid. I mean, like most English schoolboys anyway.
Yeah.
But basically, I played football, and then my best friend in primary school asked me to go to a wrestling class with him. And obviously, back then, WWF was really huge. So I naturally assumed it would be that.
Right.
And then I told my dad I'm going to a wrestling class after school. He didn't believe me, so he said he would actually take me there. And obviously, when I went to my first session, it wasn't the wrestling that I had in mind. It was actually much, much better. And here I am 15 years later.
I was going to say, because it all started when you were 7 years old, so and it all just happened by coincidence. So you were never like pushed into it by your family. It was just
no,
yourself.
The kind of best way of kind of putting it, like when I went to my first wrestling session, I knew from then I wanted to be an Olympic champion. I didn't know what the Olympics was, but I knew I wanted to be the top or the best in the sport. It's obviously more than a world champion go to the very top. And then from that, my dad and my granddad coached me when I was a young kid. But they was never really kind of pushy because wrestling, there's no financial gain out of it. You can't really make it a kind of job. So I think from their kind of perspective, watching them themselves to it. There's no way you can kind of go with it. So they didn't want me to kind of, push me into it, and then I end up hating it. They're just like, look, if you like it, just keep coming, and we'll see where it kind of goes. So obviously there was times where I needed to kind of be pushed, and they would push me, but it was never a case where I was forced to go to training or I was forced to do something. It was just, everything was at my own kind of self-will.
How old were you when you had your first match in the wrestling that you do now?
Well, this is the thing. I was 7 when I first started. My first competition was 2006. So I'm pretty sure after my first wrestling session, I went to my first competition 2 weeks later.
Oh, wow.
And that was British Championships or the British Novice Championships, and I came third.
Oh,
I
wow.
literally knew one move, and then that was it. It seemed to work. So yeah.
I was going to say the next question was, when did you start to realise how good you were at the actual sport? It seemed pretty early on.
Well, I've never thought of myself as I'm good. I mean, I would only think myself as good when I achieve my actual goal. It was more of a case where I just kind of liked doing it.
Yeah.
Taking me all the way around the kind of world. And I think it's more the case where I don't think I'm good. I just think I have the right mentality for the sport, which is just, I just don't give up. You ask anyone that if you watch my matches, that's my main kind of strength. Obviously, once I make it to the Olympic Games, I don't think I even think I'm the best then, or even if I'm that good, I'll still need to go to Russia and win like the national championships there, and America, and conquer all the other countries afterwards. Because they're just the other mini goals I kind of have.
And like you said, it's you've been all over the world with this. It's taken you. It's not come straight away to you getting into the GB squad. You've been to Estonia, Finland, Hungary, Sweden, so many countries to list to compete in, and all of that while you're self-funded as well. So is it hard to do that, to commit to the sport like you have?
Well, this is the thing. Wrestling's not a funded sport, and I was never actually funded from Team GB or from British Wrestling. In fact, the only time I was actually funded was when I qualified for the Commonwealth Games. But in qualifying for the Commonwealth Games, beforehand, I was working like 3 different jobs. I had to save up a bunch of money, and I moved to the States for 6 months to train full time there. Came back, worked a little bit, moved to Hungary for a month and a half to prepare for the qualifiers there. And then once I qualified for the team, we were funded, but funded in the sense that all our expenses were actually paid for, but there was no actual salary. So it was still kind of struggling. When I went to the Commonwealth and I got my bronze medal, the idea I had in my head, because obviously this was 2018, the following year was the Euro Olympic Games in Belarus, which is like a Olympic Games, but only for European countries.
Right.
They've only just started. The first one was 2015 in Azerbaijan, but this one was in Belarus. Basically, after I got my medal in the Commonwealth, I was hoping that there would be funding to take me to train and prepare for that. And also later on, after the Commonwealth, the World Championship was in Budapest, Hungary.
Yeah.
And my coach is also from Budapest, Hungary. That's why I spent quite a lot of time there. So I was hoping that I'd get to go to the Worlds, I get to go to Belarus, and especially for the Worlds being in Hungary, it's almost like a second home, because since I was like 15, I practically lived there on and off for the last 5 years, spending time with my coach, training. So when I came off the podium from the Commonwealth, I was basically told that there's no more money and you're no longer funded. And basically, long story short, I had to work like a bunch of kind of crappy jobs. Ended up joining a firm called Building, who put me on a apprenticeship as a thermal engineer. And when I told my boss my story, he basically said to me, "Don't worry about any of the expenses in wrestling. I'll pay for it, and I'll give you time off."
Wow.
So I'm the only funded GB wrestler there is right now.
Wow.
There's 2 others who have been given I think 20,000 each to basically put from UK sport, or some Olympic funding, but the money they've been given is again more like expenses only.
Right.
Where my boss pays me my monthly salary anyway, but he also paid me for my training camps and competitions. So everything is, everything's good.
Yeah, and then obviously in 2018 you got to go to the Commonwealth Games in Australia. You must have been so excited to finally be a part of a major competition like that.
The experience of the games was great, but in kind of my head, it was just it was like a taste what's to come in the kind of future. Like when I got on the podium and I saw the flag and I had the anthem and stuff, it was just a small taste for what my actual goal is, which is our Olympic Games. But I think with the Commonwealth, I was just more happy that I made my kind of parents proud. Obviously, I made my hometown of Croydon proud too. We never had a Commonwealth medalist in our town.
Wow. But then obviously you had the competition itself. Am I right in thinking you had 4 fights in one day?
I think I was like that. I think out of all of us, I had the most matches in on one day, so it was very tiring.
Yeah, I was going to say, because it must have been. Obviously, you eventually got the bronze medal, which is brilliant. But you must have been going into that final match. You must have been feeling your body at that point.
What basically happened was it was kind of my fault. Like the first match, I had Kenya, who I won 10-0 in the first minute, and then I had this guy from New Zealand who I didn't think was very good. And basically, what was happening was before the competition, basically every day we'd have to go to this training center and train, and there'll be 3 matches. And basically every country would have to book a kind of time slot when they was going to go. And the New Zealand team was practically there every day we was there. Like I could just tell that he was like nervous of facing me, and I kind of underestimated him because I thought it would just be a kind of match. Because the draw I had was I had Kenya, I had New Zealand, then I had Nigeria, who was the African champion. Then in the final, I was either going to have the Canadian or the Pakistan guy, and the Pakistan guy ended up winning, and the Nigerian guy came second. But basically, my plan was to warm up with the Kenyan guy, practice some technique with the New Zealand guy, and then go all out with the Nigerian guy. Because after the Nigerian guy, you get like a 3-hour break. And then there's obviously the finals or the bronze medal final. And then what kind of happened was I had like an easy match with the Kenyan guy. I had like a really tough match against the New Zealand guy. In fact, I won in the last 10 seconds.
At 7 years of age, more energy laid on than the 30-year-old Fitzpatrick, and with 5 seconds left on the clock, he goes 1 point up, and he will make it. Fitzpatrick just 15 seconds too long for Toby. And Syerus Eslami makes it 2 from 2 here at the Commonwealth Games.
The international rules of wrestling is when you finish a match, you've got to have like a 15-minute break before you go out to the next match. And what basically happened was after my match, there was a bunch of matches after me, but they ended really, really quickly. Like everyone was getting pinned or they was getting beaten in the first 30 seconds. I literally came off the mat, wiped off my sweat, and then one of the workers was like, "Yeah, you have to come back out."
Wow.
And then my coach was saying, "No, I had in 15 minutes. I had 15 minutes." I was like, "Sorry, it's being like broadcasted live. You're gonna need to go back out." So I had like no energy. Like if you ever find the video of something, you'll want to see like I was completely out of breath. I lost to the Nigerian guy in like 30 seconds, and it was more frustrating afterwards because the Nigerian guy was quite old. The plan I had with him was just to wait to the second round because I knew he wouldn't have much energy and to kind of stick it on him. But because I kind of wasted my energy with the New Zealand guy, by the time I got to him, he literally beat me in like 20 or 30 seconds because he was very strong, but he wouldn't have made it at the whole 6 minutes. And because I underestimated the New Zealand guy, I ended up going into the bronze medal match. And even with the bronze medal match, it kind of messed with my head because I knew I was going to win anyway. I don't want to sound kind of big-headed or whatever. Like as long as my head was there, there's no reason why I shouldn't have beat Van Guy. But like before the match I had against the guy with Sierra Leone, he didn't turn up. So, and then my friends were saying, "Oh, I don't think he's going to come." And then he must have came like 5 minutes before the actual match. But he left his boots at home. So then my mind started to kind of relax, thinking, "Oh, I'm not going to have this match because I'm not taking a walk over. So don't prepare, just kind of, fall into that kind of, it's already yours." and he obviously finds a pair of boots, and I've got to boost myself up for this match. And then basically I told my coach, or not my coach, the national coach, basically it was his last. He was the national coach for England for 15 years, I think, maybe even more. But it was his last competition as a coach. So I told him before the match, when I win, I'm going to carry you on my shoulders to celebrate your last match. And he started laughing. He goes, just make sure you win it. And then ended up winning. And there's a picture of me carrying him around the mat, obviously.
Yeah, it's a brilliant photo. I've seen it, yeah.
Yeah, because in wrestling, when you win like a final match, the tradition is that you carry your country's flag and you kind of run around the mat with it. But instead, I let my coach hold the flag and I just carried him around. So I'm gonna save my run for the Olympic Games, hopefully.
So basically, like the format that it works in a lot of fighting competitions, it seems like you feel like you've achieved more if you win the bronze medal match rather than if you lost the gold medal match, if you know what I mean. So it's interesting because you seemed, I've watched the video of your final and it looked like you brushed the guy away, to be fair, especially the final move.
Thank you.
Did it. And but it's like, to win that you're so ecstatic, but compared to losing the final, would you prefer to have won that bronze medal or reach the final and lost?
To be honest, I would always say reach for a final, but then again, don't take it that I wasn't happy with my bronze medal. I was really happy with my bronze medal, but I always kind of go by, get what you deserve. So if you've done everything you kind of can, you should be happy alone with that. So regardless of the color of the actual medal, as long as I've done everything I could to prove all the hard training was actually worth it. At the end of the day, the result doesn't really matter to me. It matters more that I've given it everything I can basically give it. Because if you have a match and you lose and you didn't give it your kind of all, you feel a lot different to when you've lost a match and you tried everything you kind of can. I've always told people that I prefer losing to actually winning, because when I lose, I can see the mistakes and I can practice it. And that's why I was saying earlier, that's why I don't think I'm very good, because once I master all my mistakes, I think that's when I'll be an Olympic and world champion. But right now, I'm still making loads of mistakes, which is why I'm happy to kind of lose for now. The main focus in kind of my head is just to make sure I give 100% and I don't give up. Because if you watch athletes as they get older, the ones who are over, I say 28, the ones who still win the kind of matches, and this is not just for wrestling, this is weightlifting, boxing, gymnastics, any sport, are the ones who still have the mindset of not giving up. It's got nothing to do with technique or speed or like, your head is there, and you fully believe in yourself, and you're fully going to give it 100%. There's no reason why you shouldn't win.
It's interesting because you've spoken a lot about your confidence and your belief in yourself, and it's very evident from your social media as well. Like even your bio on Instagram is "I believe in myself." Like where does that all come from for you?
Well, in obviously my life, and I don't want to say it's just mine, I think there's a lot of people who sat in a similar chair to mine where they've had a dream or a goal, and people just don't think it's kind of realistic, or it's not something they're going to be able to achieve. And if you look at any greats, because I like to study and watch other people who's achieved a goal what people thought wasn't really possible. So Michael Jordan's one of my favorite athletes. For example, I mean, he had everything going against him. In fact, when I was in college, his father died. So he could have gone downhill and he could have fell into that kind of trap, but he didn't. So, and not just him, like business people, music artists, they all have the same sort of story. Like someone told them that it's not possible to do something, and they it ignored what they had told them, and because they told themselves this is what's going to happen, this is what's going to become true, and they didn't let anything else interfere with that, and they got to the place where they wanted to get to. And my opinion of that is that if you tell yourself something and you truly believe it, there's no reason why it shouldn't come true, regardless of what anyone else kind of says to you or shows you or acts kind of towards you. Because to be honest, like, if you're looking to be great and you're looking to be the best person you can be, there's not many people like that. So you can't really ask other people for advice on that, because there's only few great people.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't mean to be horrible. It's not likely you're going to meet one in your neighborhood or one of your mates is going to be that, because they probably ain't. So anything you say to people is going to sound unrealistic and stupid and obviously non-believable, because I don't want to sound whatever. Not everyone is meant to kind of be there. Not everyone's meant to be great. Not everyone's meant to be Olympic champion, world champion, you know, entrepreneur, millionaire. That's why there's only a few people, you know.
Yeah. And I want to talk about your training as well, because obviously with that belief comes the training to get there, and it's because you've just come back from work, as you said, to do this.
Yeah.
And it's how do you manage to balance that with your training to get to the position that you want to be in?
Well, before this kind of coronavirus broke out, what I would basically do is I would train before work. So I train about 5 o'clock in the morning. And that would be just my normal strength session. And then I'm very lucky at my work. There's a gym 10 minutes down the road from my work, and I get an hour lunch break. So I would go to the gym on my lunch break, and basically anything I didn't finish in the morning, I'd carry on at lunch, or I would do like extension work. I would do stretching. I would do like small exercises for the kind of smaller muscle groups, things that I'll kind of need. And then after work, I'll go to my normal wrestling training, and I'll do that 5 days a week. And on Saturday, I'll train once or twice. And that'll either be like a wrestling and like a little weight session, or, you know, swimming or something. But I also do kind of mental sessions. So, like, for example, while this kind of coronavirus is kind of broken out, my work's closed. So I've been moved to work in central London.
Right.
And obviously in central London, there's no gym nearby, and there's no gym open anyway. So the kind of mental training that I want to do is I'll kind of watch loads of my wrestling matches over and over again, highlight videos, people who are in my kind of category, people who are below my category, and I'll just kind of study. And I would put all these moves in my head, and then if you watch it so many times, but I know it sounds really stupid, when you have a match, it'll come into your head, and then you'll be able to escalate the actual move.
Right.
So that would be my kind of mental training.
Now, unfortunately, you've mentioned it already. The obviously the coronavirus is putting us into a lockdown at the moment, and it was only last week that we had it was announced that the Olympics wasn't going to be taking place this year, and that is your goal. It's, you know, how did you react to that news, or did you already know it was coming and were you prepared for it?
Well, I kind of already put in my head anyway that it's going to get moved. But basically, the position I was in when the Olympics was going on is I basically just started an apprenticeship. And the problem I was kind of having is, as nice as my company and the boss is, they give me time off to kind of train. But I qualify next April. So the decision I was having with my boss was basically, look, I can either leave now and I can go train full time and do my apprenticeship afterwards, or I can kind of, you know, bite my teeth, miss the Olympics, get my apprenticeship, and then train full time for the next 3 years to, you know, go to the next Olympic Games. Because the only reason why I'm doing this apprenticeship now is because after the Commonwealth as well, I got kind of really depressed and down, because I thought, you know, besides wrestling, I don't have any other kind of backup, and there's no career that I can do with wrestling to make extra money. Like, there's that you can be a personal trainer and you can do this other crap, but it's never gonna pay enough for you to support your family and whatever. And even before the Commonwealth, I was doing personal trainings and classes and one-to-ones, but because I would go away on training camps and competitions a lot, I'd come back and people wouldn't want to train, and it would be hit and miss. It wasn't really something I could do long sort of term. So I needed something which I could take around the world if I'm going to move around the world, and I can fit around my own kind of training. So this was kind of perfect. Before I actually did this, I worked in a car garage. I worked for Peugeot, and my boss was completely the opposite. He wanted me to stop wrestling. He didn't give me any time off for competitions. He didn't give me any time off for training camps, and didn't understand it at all. So that it got even worse. But now, moving forward, my boss gave me those two choices. So I won my national championships, which I'm assuming was the first qualification, and I wanted to go to the Olympic qualifications. And basically, of my federation said to me that you basically need to win 2 UWW matches for us to let you go to the qualification tournament. And basically, the last UWW competition I did after the Commonwealth was the European Championships, and they haven't invited me to any since. So basically, there was 3 qualifiers. There was one, if I remember, February 24th, which was in Hungary, which was the European qualifier. And then the final qualifier, so it was only 2 qualifications, one European qualifier, and then the world qualifier was end of April 28th. So my plan was, because I said that I needed these 2 UWW wins, there was a UWW tournament on the 2nd of April in Estonia, which I was planning to kind of go to win these matches and then go to the qualification tournament. And then I wasn't allowed to enter that either. So now, in a kind of blessing, because they move Olympic Games, if they get rid of this coronavirus soon, there's a bunch of UWW competitions that at the end of the year I can enter, which means I'll get 2 chances to qualify for the Olympics, not one. And from the conversation I had with my boss recently, I think he's happy for me to, try again for both anyway. So in like a way, I kind of want to say it's a kind of good thing that it's got moved, because now I've got more time to prepare. I can get these wins, I can organise my stuff, but the obviously bad side of it is what I'm thinking of also, because I'm 23 now. I'll be 24 at the Olympics next year, and if they move Paris, I'm going to be 29, because I kind of wanted to do Tokyo, Paris, and LA. But if they move it by a year, LA is going to be a little bit hard, because I'm going to be like 33. Obviously, by that age, my wrestlers kind of retire and settle down, which puts more pressure on kind of winning Tokyo or kind of winning Paris, because after that, that's kind of it.
And so how has the lockdown actually affected your training then?
Well, it's gonna sound really dumb. Like, for the first week, I didn't think it was actually real. Like, I'm not saying I didn't believe in coronavirus. Like, I didn't actually think that I would go outside and everywhere's actually closed and my gym's closed. I didn't think, like, you see it on the news, but you don't actually think it's happening in your actual area. So I didn't actually take it seriously. So I thought, for the first week, whatever, because my gym emailed me, my wrestling gym texted me saying that we're going to be closed. I thought, okay, I'll just take the week off anyway. And then on the second week, I thought, oh my God, like, things are actually closed. Like, it started to hit me. So I tried to go jogging, and I hate running. I literally can't stand running. Like, I'm like the worst runner. I mean, that's why I like to kind of fight, because I can't run anyway, so I might as well take the guys off. I said it since I was a kind of kid. So I tried jogging on some of the days, but it was like awful. But I have like no speed. My legs always hurt, because the only things I do cardio wise is if I need to get fit, I'll either wrestle or I'll do rowing or I'll do some sort of swimming. But I don't like running, because when I was younger, I did loads of running and I basically tore both of my knees, and I'm just slow. Like, I just never liked it. So I tried jogging, and it didn't really kind of work. I think I went once or twice, and it took ages. Like, I think I do like a 5-mile run around where I live, but because I got to do it before work, it's really cold. So I end up like jogging, and after the first 20 minutes, I've just got warm. So I didn't really feel like I was getting any kind of benefit out of it. So I kind of stopped that. And what I've done now is, maybe I can probably show you later, is I've got like a drain, like an iron drain, and I've shoved like scaffolding poles into it, and I've taped it so that it looks like a massive barbell. I don't know how else to put it. But I basically made that. I've got some kettlebells at home. I've got like a ladder which I pushed against a tree, which I've been doing chin-ups on in the morning and in the evening. I've just been doing little exercises in my garden, shadow wrestling, and lifting this made-up barbell and kettlebells. And I just do that every single day now, 2 times a day.
So yeah, this was the barbell I was talking about. You can see like it's just a scaffolding pole taped inside a drain pipe. Those buckets I fill up with rocks or water, and I do like farmers walks. This is my little made up bench press, which I take the bar and I do bench press there. And over here, continue up with the chin ups. I've pushed it into my summer house and I do chin ups off that. The kettlebells and stuff are inside, but yeah, this is my little outdoor morning gym.
And then on my lunch break at work, I just watch wrestling. So it's the only thing I can kind of do to keep me moving forward.
Well, it sounds like you're making the most of the situation that you have around you, I guess. But finally, the last question I got in there was, in what is the dream? What is the goal?
Well, I have 3 goals because from all the research I was doing, I was telling you earlier about all these great people and stuff, is what I started to notice was the Olympic champions who ended up winning. The people who went to the Olympic Games and then won. A common story was that they would win the Olympics. They wouldn't know what to kind of do with themselves. So they'd just fall into this deep depression. They'd get a little bit lost. A bit like when I went to the kind of Commonwealth, like when I got my medal, the idea I had in my head of being on that podium and all these things were coming, it just wasn't it. It was the complete opposite. In fact, it was little bit of a kind of nightmare afterwards, because literally the dream I had in my head for such a long time, it didn't turn out to be the dream I thought it would end up being, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So like I was saying to you earlier, like when I came off the podium, I thought I'd get this long-term funding. I wouldn't have to work. I can be a full-time athlete. I can go to the Worlds in Hungary. I can go to the Euro Olympics. I can go to Tokyo. It wasn't the kind of case. So obviously my goal since I was 7 years old till now is to win the Olympic Games. And if there was money, if Team GB was to give me some money, or if I was to do some like adverts or the Subway adverts, like Louis Smith, that gymnast, all the money I would accumulate for the sponsorship and whatever, I wanted to basically take that, and I wanted to basically I don't know how to put it. Like when you go to the States, the school system out there is very different to here in terms of sports. So like, for example, from elementary or primary school to all the way to university, you can play a sport and you can make your way through life if you're doing that sport. So, for example, if you come from an unprivileged background, you still have a chance to go to a really good university on a sports scholarship. Whereas in England, for example, only the kind of private schools offer that. And to be honest, not many people are kind of doing it. And like, for example, in the States, when you compete for a high school team, an elementary school team, there's an actual coach, there's an actual club. Like when you're in school here, especially when I was in school, the football team was any of the lads who wanted to stay after school and play football. There wasn't any sort of trial. There wasn't any sort of, whatever. Same with the rugby team, same with the basketball team. It was whoever either had nothing else to do after school, or their parents finished work late, so they couldn't get into the house, and that was the team that was kind of made up. And when I went, because this dream was actually only built not that long ago. It was actually built when I was at the Commonwealth Games. Because when I went to the Commonwealth Games, I met the weightlifters, the boxers, the gymnasts, and I keep hearing this like my story, but in other sports. I got no funding. I got no other kind of whatever. So the money I kind of make, I want to start my own sporting league. In the schools, to give people who don't come from the best of backgrounds a chance of life, who if would be equal from someone who's from like a wealthy background or any other background. So like, for example, if you come from some poor council estate in, I don't know, in Manchester or in South London, where I'm obviously from, you can still have the same chance of going to university or going to a good school like anyone else from any other area. So, like, for example, if you do well in your high school team and you win the city championships or the national championships in the school league, you can get scouted to go to a really good university and continue your sport there, and then go on to potentially going pro if the sport has a pro, or going to the Olympics and training full time, and whatever, and also televising sports, because not enough sports get enough media kind of behind it. So, like for example, netball. There was that big story about when the netball girls won the Commonwealth Games, how they had to raise all this money. Like before the Commonwealth, no one cared about netball, and no one really gave them the opportunity. It was only up until they stood on the podium, people actually thought, "Oh my God, netball!" When I think of that, and then now netball's getting the opportunity, but they're only getting opportunity now because they got on the podium and they're getting all this media. But what I want to do in the schools is to make it more, more kind of organized. So get people like Sky, BBC to televise all the event, and when they got like national championship, let's try fill out some stadiums, let's try get some sponsorship from Lucas Day at night, and give the next generation a chance to have a good life, because especially now, especially in London, I don't know what the case is kind of up north. Knife crime is really bad, and if you want me to give my own opinion of that, knife crime is only bad because especially kids in London, there's nothing else for them to kind of do. There's no youth centres open. If I want to, after the Commonwealth, I was going to schools and giving speeches about my medal and stuff, and all these kids were really eager to go and learn wrestling, and there wouldn't be any wrestling gyms I could send them to, because my wrestling club is 2 hours from my house. It's in East London, and in London traffic took ages to kind of get to. But even if they was to go there, my wrestling gym membership was almost £60 a month. And if you think about like a single parent and living off benefits, they can't, afford that. And it's the same with weightlifting, the same with all these other sports. Like a lot of these kids, even if they have, all this talent, they won't ever be able to progress in these sports because they can't afford to. And I'm sick and tired of hearing, people not being able to make it or do well because of finance. Finance shouldn't be an issue when in the UK we have the third best economy in the world. So I want to start organising funding or like a way for people to have a chance to make it through life through sport. Even if like, a lot of these kids don't have goals, if their goal is just to be national champion or national, school champion in their sport, that will keep them focused, and it will make them, go to all their classes because they got to attend their classes to be allowed to go to training, and it will give them like, something to kind of focus on, so they won't get dragged into all this, bad stuff going on right now. That would be my goal after the Olympics.
Well, it's a very, very noble goal. I think it's brilliant to hear how much you want to help the sport and help others with that. It's great to hear. But thanks so much to yourself for coming and joining me with us.
Thank you.
And it's you really seem like an inspiration. Your drive to achieve what you want and to help others. It's really great, and your attitude is amazing. And I think with that, you will achieve what your goals are, and I hope you do. And good luck for everything you do in the future.